Jordan, I'm going to discuss your fantasy football footprint and follow that up with some questions. So please keep in mind, I'm going to be very direct, to the point, and brutally honest. And these questions are not necessarily going to be easy. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's fine. Bring it.
All right. Before we get into the meat of this potato, I'd like to ask just a few things about you. For those of you new to the internet, you may not know, who are you in real life?
I'm a lawyer by day. Been married to my wife for going on 4 years now, and I have a daughter, 2-year-old toddler who is learning to be very, very independent. So we're experiencing all of those things.
It's amazing that age. It's like, oh, they're smart enough to get into anything, and they will. Oh, okay, great.
Totally.
Totally. You've been active in fantasy football for years. I know you've been putting a lot of the valuable content on your Analytics of Dynasty Patreon site. How did you come up with your name for this particular stuff that you're working
on? I don't love the name. So if I could go back, I'd probably do it a little bit differently.
Therapeutic.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought, like, here's sort of what I want to do. Like, I want to have there is certain values to things, and whether that's high level analytics or low level analytics, like it's an analytics base. And so I am no marketing expert, and so I just said, well, it's just the Analytics of Dynasty. In hindsight, I probably would have done a little bit different, but it's got a nice ring to it. I can put up with it.
Yeah, no, it's good. I like it. So whereabouts you live in this world?
Syracuse, New York.
Nice. Okay, you're not too far away from producer Streaming Rich over there.
And why? All right, baby.
Where are you?
I'm in Manhattan.
Oh, so you're totally anchored down then.
Yeah, I'm not going nowhere. So let's do more podcasts.
All right, so obviously you've been playing fantasy football a long time, and along the lines of what we were talking about earlier, we may not have a player that you hate or won't pick, but who is a player that hurt you the most?
This is a safe space.
The year Alvin Kamara, like I was super in on Kamara as a rookie, and I mean I owned a ton of them as a rookie. But there was the year he got hurt in week 14, in like the early, like in the first quarter, and had like 6 points in the first week of the playoffs or something that hurt really bad. There was a year, I forget, whatever Thomas Rawls was a big deal. Andy Dalton had a big year that year too. In my home league, in my 16-team home league, I have been in since probably like 96 or 97. And I was like one of, if not the best teams in the league, and they got hurt within 20 minutes of each other in real time, and like both in the first quarter of their game in week 14 of the playoffs. And that was probably the most painful painful fantasy football experience, that one in particular.
And those will resonate with you for years. Sometimes you won't own that player because of that. You might devalue him a round or two, like, oh, that Thomas Rawls, like, I mean, I had him last year, but he really screwed me, so I'm going to bump him down maybe to a 9th round or 10th round pick if I have to grab him.
It just hurt.
Yep, and that's when it can be painful and it can be kind of the brunt of a joke, but for maybe the less seasoned fantasy football or dynasty player, that can actually impact them pushing the button on the running back 2 or 3 slots behind where you may expect to take Kamara, because they're like, nope, week 14. Not reliving that.
Right.
And that's the problem.
Yeah, and it's pretty funny because one of the things that I've looked at is how much does a player matter? And so you'll see these things where people will be like, oh, X player, Brandon Cooks is a classic example of this. Brandon Cook's always boom bust. Oh, he cost me these 6 weeks last year because he had 0 points or whatever. None of that's really true, but people get so biased, and then when you try and tell them, like, listen, most games are not decided by, it's maybe 2 or 3 games in a year are decided by anything less than 10 points. And what defines your record is how many points you scored. And then you try and tell, I had someone was trying to tell me, DJ Moore was better last year than Amari Cooper. And I'm like, that's just simply not true. Amari Cooper scored more points, and they were like, well, but DJ Moore, it felt better. You got it every week or whatever. And I'm like, hey, first of all, you got it in half the weeks. I said, but on the flip side of that, like, you're seeding away wins, right? Like, the difference between Amari Cooper last year and DJ Moore was like 1/10 of a win. Might not seem like a big deal, but if you're playing in a lot of leagues, like if you're playing in 10, 15, 20 leagues, like, you don't want to make decisions that seed away 1/10 of a win. And that's all just bias. And it's funny, you can't convince people that they're wrong. There's no point in trying, but it's always interesting to me, like, you get those, and I've just come to appreciate, I think, that players matter a little bit less than we think they do.
Yeah.
Well,
and
take away from that one statement, and that is that I am right, and I appreciate that.
I was going to say that, one thing you said there is that for DJ Moore, people say, but it felt better. And sure, that's great, but one, we can't quantify that. And, it's completely subjective. And who cares? What we're trying to help people do is, it feels best to win and be set up to win for a long time. And so we're trying to help you craft your own process that will lead you in that direction. There's no one way to get there, but if it's less bias driven, it's likely going to get there more consistently and more quickly.
Totally.
All right. So next question is, I'm a beer guy. I brew beer. I enjoy beer. What is your favorite style of beer?
Yeah, it's funny. When you were mentioning that earlier, I realized I haven't had beer in probably like 2 or 3 months now. Just for no particular reason. I'm just not a huge drinker. I'm more of a light IPA guy, but I'm not really a big drinker.
So session IPA, that'll work. All right. So my final introduction question before we get to the rest of this is, what is your favorite thing about fantasy hockey?
Man, that's a good question. I like the process of it, and I hate the randomness of it. But I like the process of it. I like the interactions with people most of the time. Most of the experiences I've had with people have been pretty positive.
Until this one.
This one's been good. Sometimes it's not the same when you're interacting with someone in a league, but by and large, I would say the interactions I've had with people, whether it's purchases of my book or my patrons or people that I've talked about on podcasts, almost all of them have been good experiences, good interactions. So really, I think that is probably the thing. And honestly, it's a good escape, right? Like, I record my podcast every Tuesday night, and I know no matter what the chaos is, or no matter what's going on TV, or, what we're sort of going through as a people, that I know at 9:30 on Tuesday nights, like, I'm going to be in a different world. And whether that's for 20 minutes or 2 hours, like, I know at the end of that day, or the end of that session, I will feel better. And that's powerful. I mean, there's no, and that has happened, before this whole experience that we're going through now. I mean, that's just it's a powerful, powerful thing to have that escape.
It really is. My favorite things about fantasy hockey are like Steve Ott and Owen Nolan. Okay, now it's time for hard-hitting analysis and drama-laden questions. Are you ready?
I'll try my best.
Question number 1. Your data-backed analysis is obviously an efficient means of determining value. Jeremy Schwab is a value non-believer, but he does appreciate key metrics. You have a chapter in your 2019 edition of Analytics Dynasty that is titled Structural Decision Making, or as we call it, Process. You discuss metrics that matter and other metrics. Metrics have been much aligned in America, and eventually Reagan shuttered the U.S. Metric Board after Gerald Ford passed the Metric Conversion Act in what year?
After Gerald Ford? Or when Reagan did it, or when Gerald Ford did it?
We cannot repeat the question.
Actually, we can.
Verbatim.
Right?
I'll go with 1982.
That's pretty close. 1975 is the correct answer. 1975.
Question number 2. Drew Lock is a scary proposition for you right now. You fear that he may not be locked into the starter role in Denver. It is possible that Denver is still looking lock, but lots of listing drafters seem sure of it. He is not a lock to finish with a starter season, as second-round QBs only log that 22% of the time. Liking Lock likely looks like it lends to lots of lingering lament. I don't like Lock a lot. What was the name of the character played by Lenny McLean in the 1998 film Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels?
I have no idea.
That is Barry the Baptist. Barry the Baptist. All right.
Question number 3. You released a book in 2019 called Analytics of Dynasty. In 2020, you released a book called The Analytics of Dynasty, 2020 edition. You then rebranded your 2019 book titled Analytics of Dynasty as Analytics of Dynasty, 2019 edition. This leads me to speculate that an Analytics of Dynasty released in 2021 would likely be called Analytics of Dynasty 2021 edition. In hindsight, what is vision always?
2020.
Yeah. Hindsight vision is always 2020.
Question number 4. In your new book, Analytics of Dynasty 2020 edition, you have chapters titled Seasonal League Analysis, Base Rates, Density, 2019 Rookie Class, A Guide to Navigating Future Rookie Drafts, Superflex League Strategy, Embracing Randomness, and Strategy Implementation. If you had to choose one of these chapters to be your favorite, what is the nickname of the head coach of Arizona?
I don't know what his nickname is. Cliff Kingsbury, I don't know what his nickname is.
That would be Coach Cool. I would have also accepted Coach Dude or Coach Bro.
All right.
Or Ryan Gosling.
Gosling, yes.
All right, thanks for your time. I appreciate your candid and truthful answers and my insightful and hard-hitting analysis.